Hello, welcome to my world. I'm Joey and I'm going to do a video log. Yeah, I'm vlogging. Well, it's kind of an audio log, but with video. So yeah, video log. And it's YouTube talk. I'm doing what I call YouTube talk, and I've done it before. And I'm doing it again. And this time I'm going to talk about my continued respect for Mundane Matt and TJ Kirk, who many of us remember as the amazing amazing atheist. I sometimes stumble on my words. And I'm just going to stick video in the background because I didn't feel like I had the proper amount of time and space and whatever to set up the camera and stand in front of it. And really, do you really need to see me sitting here talking about this or standing around talking about this when you could just have some craziness going on in the background? And, okay, so of course, if I'm going to talk about YouTube now, I'm also going to be talking about the whole demonetization of smaller YouTube channels. Because one, that's the big thing that's going on right now. And it just lined up perfectly with my yearly YouTube talk time because I did it this time last year. And I also have some newfound disrespect for Review Tech USA and some indifference to PewDiePie. But last time I did YouTube talk, January of last year, I was encouraging people to check out some creators on YouTube, like Noggin and the Drunken Peasants and so forth. That, I just wanted people to check out some of the people who were making a living on YouTube, because it helps them out, especially in January when ad revenue is usually at its worst. Yeah, so that was just something. Now I'm going to be talking about the smaller YouTubers that might not be making a living off the platform, but it might actually be helping them that they're making money. Most definitely is a help. And at the moment, in the background there's a video of me driving. That's a car camera, a special double screen car camera, and I wanted to stick that in this video because I just never got around to using that camera as much as I would have liked. But on with the story. Yes, on with the story. Yes, stay tuned while I ramble and stumble over my own words and talk about something I think is kind of important, but still kind of ramble and stumble over my own words. And at one point, I even ponder, would things be a little bit different if VidMe hadn't just went out of business just a month ago? Now to talk about YouTube. YouTube, where small channels with less than 1,000 subscribers are going to get completely demonetized. They weren't making much money to begin with, but now will be completely demonetized. Well, if anybody is going to talk about whether or not, the people making, you're just making $2 a month or $4 a month or $2 a week and blah, 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 whatever. If the people who are thinking this is no big deal because people aren't making a lot of money on YouTube, well, first off, I'll talk about my experience. And for one thing, I just wanted to actually make money on YouTube for the first time. That was a goal of mine for quite some time. And it took years before I actually got a payment. It was just a goal of mine to actually get to the point where I'd get some sort of income coming from this that was, a little bit of a help. And since you have to build up $100 to get a payment from YouTube, any payment you get, as small as it is going to be around $100. And I just wanted to be in the system so that, over time, perhaps I might actually be able to make enough that would be a help. And as for whether or not it actually did help me, well, when I got my very first, payment from YouTube, when I actually got some money, it might have just been around $100, but it happened at a time when I was so low on money, and I had expenses, there was things I had to pay money for, things that needed to be done, but I was so low on money that it was actually a legitimate concern that I might not have been able to afford gasoline to go to work. Okay? And my car isn't a gas guzzler. It's fairly efficient, but that was a legitimate concern. And it was a help. It was definitely a help. Everything helps when you're, to say that the money doesn't mean anything to anybody. No, my channel was constantly coming up when all the big YouTubers were losing money. Uh, I also noticed my tiny little channel wasn't gaining as much as it had been. It also went down a bit. So, I the rate at which I was constantly improving did drop off a bit. Um, so I was actually, on a small scale, I was actually able to observe what the bigger YouTubers were talking about with the adpocalypse and stuff like that. But, it didn't hit me the same because my channel was so small. It didn't really make that much of a difference. But that said, the money I was making helped. It made a difference. And when I got a payment, it really mattered to me. So, not just as moral support, not just as, a little side thing that helped encourage me to make videos, but it literally helped me survive. So when people say it doesn't matter, yeah, it matters on a lot of different levels. And if anybody makes out like people are making out like a bandit now because it's so easy to get monetized, no, you're not. No, just because you're getting a little bit of money doesn't mean you're making out like a bandit. Doesn't mean like you have it too easy. I mean, that's just a load of nonsense. The first time I posted to YouTube, I was just doing like a little fan film. That was I was reteaching myself to use 3D Studio Max, which is an incredibly outdated version of 3D Studio Max, and I'm sure it's probably even an outdated program by now. And doing some stuff to make a silly little fan film. I just wanted to reteach myself 3D Studio Max, and I wanted to put the video I made up online and just play around with some video editing. And it was nothing I would ever consider monetizing. In fact, I used Star Trek and Star Wars stuff as a little bit of a fan film crossover thing I was doing, and that was back in 2007. But as a more legitimate channel that was almost like a Facebook photo album, only it was videos, and on YouTube, just videos from my world, I created this, my main channel, back in 2011. 2011. The year 2011 in the contemporary era. So, that's a few years back now. And I didn't get monetized immediately, and you know what? I wouldn't expect to make much money at what I was doing. I knew other people that did make a decent amount of money just talking about things in their world and so forth. And by the time I got started on this, that wasn't as likely for me to establish an audience doing that. But that said, when I did get monetized, I was very happy about it. And as I said, eventually it helped. And I never really wanted to create separate channels for separate things, but if you really plan to make it big, that's kind of what you want to do. But it's not my real goal to be as big as Game Theory or Noggin. It wasn't my goal to completely live off of this. But that said, if I could, yeah, that'd be great. But just to get the point across, it did matter that I could potentially make money that would help me survive, and I thought that was cool, and money made on YouTube definitely helped me. So if anybody says that doesn't matter, no, they're full of crap. Yeah. So where am I going with this? Well, I'm just starting off talking about my tiny YouTube channel, and I'd just say that I consider myself, and my videos aren't that amazing, they're not that great, I know, and not that phased by the fact. But that said, this stuff kind of does matter to people. And don't forget, when YouTube is, screwing around with the smaller content creators, don't forget what the U in YouTube is. Those first 3 letters of YouTube. By monetizing a lot of people, making it easier to get monetized. When I got monetized back in 2013, I think it was, or was it 2012? 2013. When they started to do that to make it easier to get in, that got more people involved with the community. And really, it was really hard for somebody to make any significant amount of money back then. Anyway, just by being on YouTube. I mean, you still had to work hard at it. And if anybody ever said YouTube isn't a real job, well, the people who make a living on here most definitely are putting a lot of work into it and have a lot of time to put in it. And, probably a lot better resources than I have. I've definitely spent a crazy amount of time trying to edit a video while fighting with glitches and problems in my computer and switching files back and forth from one computer to another to actually manage to get the video edited, because one computer wouldn't do this and another computer wouldn't do that, and the computer just wanted to crash every time I tried to do anything. I've definitely fought with my hardware just to get simple, stupid little videos made. And, people who are constantly promoting themselves and putting themselves out there, yeah, they're definitely working hard at this. But that said, if you had a job making crafts, and you were, making a living at it, doing it regularly, and then somebody else had a job, their primary job was not making crafts, but in their spare time, they made crafts. And if every so often, a few times a year, maybe once or twice a year, they sold their crafts that they enjoyed making, and they enjoyed whatever, that they enjoyed making, if they sold them at a craft sale, should the person who does it as a living say to them, what you do doesn't matter, you have it too easy getting paid, you shouldn't worry about being paid, you shouldn't complain if you don't get paid, you're not doing that as a living. As far, you should, if you really love making crafts, you should be giving them away for free, Would you say that? Would you say that? That it doesn't matter that the person who sold crafts as a part-time job or a secondary job, would you actually say to them, it doesn't matter if they get compensated or not? Not compared to me, because I do it every day, If somebody said that, what would be your attitude towards a person for saying something that arrogant, that prickish, that your benefits don't matter whatsoever because you're small time? You'd be pretty pissed at the person that said something that arrogant, which is kind of why I was kind of pissed off at Review Tech USA. Rich from Review Tech USA, say the channel name instead of the person's name, whatever, you know what I meant. That said, when I first heard about this demonetization issue, I think something came up on YouTube, because I don't even know if I got an email about the subject. But yeah, I mean, my small channel's definitely going down, it's going to be demonetized, I'll lose the ability to put up custom thumbnails and all that wonderful stuff. But when I first heard about it, I was doing other things, I wasn't actually around the computer that much, and when I first heard about it, I thought to myself, well, I gotta check that out, because that's going to be kind of important to me, and I forget the first I heard about it, but I immediately knew it's like, yeah, I'm going to be demonetized completely as a channel. And when I finally got around to checking it out, and I almost resisted checking it out because I hadn't been online much in a little bit, or at least not on YouTube. Because I was preoccupied with other things that were going on at the moment, and I almost just kind of wanted to walk away from it and not think about it, because it was almost like, oh, for fuck's sake, I mean, do I want to deal with this, or do I just want to forget everything? Because I actually had that kind of reaction to it. But it's like, no, I definitely got to look into this. But I did procrastinate a little bit about even finding out what was going on, because it was kind of like, oh, damn it, do I even want to think about any of this? And there it is. There it was. I finally looked it up, and the first video I watched on it was one by TJ Kirk. I've watched The Amazing Atheist for years, and in my opinion, he's the perfect example of a YouTube success story. He talked about problems he had in his younger life where, he was in school and he wanted to do his own thing, and teachers told him he wouldn't make anything of himself, and then when he got on YouTube and got what success he had on YouTube, he ended up making more money than the teachers who basically told him he was going to fail in life, that sort of attitude. To me, perfect YouTube success story. He's somebody on YouTube that says things the way he sees them. So, I think of him as an amazing atheist. He's one of the first people I've watched on YouTube regularly, even before I even thought of the concept of subscribing to another channel on YouTube, or any channel on YouTube. So, whenever he complains about YouTube, and the fact he's made such a good living on YouTube, or at least made a living on YouTube, and I usually take him serious, and I thought he did a good video on the subject. Maybe it's just because he's saying something that I agree with in this case. I usually like his videos. I mean, nobody is going to agree with any other sentient being that's a mere mortal 100% of the time. I'm not going to say I always agree with everything he says, but I usually find him agreeable. Okay, so long story short, I liked the Amazing Atheist's video. Well, I mean TJ Kirk's video. He changed his branding to his actual name. I can't help but accidentally thinking of him as the Amazing Atheist. Watched him for a long time under that name. Anyway, liked his video. Perhaps I'm a little bit biased because it was speaking on behalf of people in my position. But that's fine. That's not really. I mean, I suppose you could just blame me for liking what I want to hear, but whatever. If you disagree with his video, but no, I think he did a good video that was fair. And because this was one of the first videos I saw that had any opinion on the subject, and one of the first things I learned was apparently other YouTubers, like the big big YouTubers that actually made it, that actually were successful, that were nowhere near being affected by this, they were all for it. And I was like, what? Now, were you ever in a work environment? I know I was. No, I went off the wrong direction there. Were you ever in a work environment where your coworkers just didn't seem to care about what happens to the other coworkers, and even though it doesn't affect you, you're kind of disgusted and pissed off at them? I've definitely had that experience where I'd see coworkers just dismissing the problems of other coworkers, and sometimes even gleefully enjoying the fact other coworkers were being screwed over in something that was literally unfair decision making. And I'd often get pissed off, and it probably, and I probably did a few things that probably didn't help me in the work environment by arguing, on such things, but whatever. And I've even been in positions where it could be like a contract, where I'd see something in the contract that was definitely targeted to harm someone like me, as well as others in a similar position that I am, that was just done spitefully, and still voted in favor of the contract because it helped a lot of people that were worse off than I was. I've had that experience, either being pissed off because people were treating other people in an unfair way, or just agreeing with things because it helped everybody out. I've been there, but I've also been in the position where I was the one being screwed over, and I was actually exposed to coworkers mockingly dismissing my problems, even bringing it up as if they almost wanted to laugh in my face on it. And, it's like, you feel kind of selfish saying anything, but at the same time, you just made it personal. So if I was ever going to say anything to anybody's face, it's like, no. You just kind of like, yep. I don't know if I'd say this is a situation where you'd be triggered, but it's definitely a place where opposing opinions have just kind of forced themselves to collide, When I heard that a lot of bigger YouTubers were perfectly happy with this, or even daring to say it was a good idea or a good thing, I just can't help but think of being in a working environment where a coworker just didn't care what happened to another coworker because they weren't part of the same clique that coworker was in, and not being bothered by if something really bad work-related was going to happen to that person, or even somebody just treating somebody else, perhaps myself, like, oh, well, you're just a lesser worker, you're not important, you're not from this town or that town, or you're not important to us, or you could find another job, screw you, that kind of attitude, it just reminds me of that, and it just absolutely disgusts me, I despise it when people have that attitude towards other people. Yeah, it just reminded me of that, and I absolutely despise people with that attitude. And the next video I watched on the subject was one by PewDiePie. And I don't normally follow PewDiePie, so it's not like I was just waiting to see what PewDiePie had to say. I mean, I do follow TJ Kirk, but I don't follow PewDiePie. But, you know, I figured I'd check out what he had to say. It wouldn't be the first time I ever saw him, but, you know, I know he's like the most successful YouTuber ever, you know, made millions at the whole damn thing, you know. Sort of, you know, he hugely successful, hit pieces were done on him, and then he did stupid stuff, and blah, 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 whatever. But he's so successful, even that, not going to knock him down to the point where he's not going to be doing well, you know. PewDiePie has made it. And when I watched PewDiePie's video, for the most part, it started off, and I was kind of like, you know, I'm okay with this. This is a pretty good video. It started to feel a little out of touch, and a tad obnoxious when I realized some of the stuff that was being said in it. Because while he started off perfectly fair and spoke like somebody who wanted to, he probably wanted to be friendly on the subject. You know, he obviously wasn't stupid and gonna come off like, well, you know what, screw you guys. You know, he spoke fairly and nicely for a lot of it, but within it, there got a point where he mentioned, you know, that there were times when there's like only so many ads to go around, and sometimes one of his videos might not get an ad played on it as part of the justification on why, you know, it would be good to clean up the ranks of YouTube and, you know, stop putting ads on the smaller channels. And then he went on, and then he started talking about how he had it so hard early on. And to me, the whole thing just felt really out of touch and kind of obnoxious when he got to that point. But that said, he wasn't really rude or horrible about it. But I just couldn't help but think, you know, especially the first time I watched it, I rewatched it to make sure I knew what I thought of it. And I was like, you know, a good video in a lot of places, but really feeling out of touch. First off, when he mentioned that there's only so many ads to go around, PewDiePie made it. He made it big time. And some people would hate on him for his success. I believe people make it through any combination of skill and good luck and hard work. Like, all those can be factors, and whatever you think caused PewDiePie to make it, I don't think we should hate on him for being successful. He just is, and nobody else is probably going to hit his level of success. You know, that's fine. He made it. Let him live his life. Let him take advantage of it, or let him throw it all away, depending on what he does. You know, but, you know, it's like, if the ads get spread around, and he misses out on a few chances to have an ad play on a video because it went to a smaller YouTuber, why would I feel sorry for him? He's got so many ads playing on so many videos being viewed by so many people. You know, why would I feel sorry that somebody else got an ad that he could have got? You know, it's like he's winning over everybody else. He's going above and beyond everybody else in success through fair competition. You know, people are choosing to view his videos. Fine, you know. So he's going to get more ad views than anybody else, you know, if everything is fair and equal. And, you know, he does mention that he had it tough early on and so forth. But a lot of that had to do with the fact that YouTube wasn't sure if you could do video game content. And if we were to look at that example, you know, I'm not going to hate on him for his success, but if we were to bring up this whole idea that he had it hard, so it's not as big a deal if other people, you know, don't get compensated because it took him so long before he got compensated. By that same standard, should we also say, well, if we go this long, you know, not being compensated, does that mean when we are finally compensated, we're all going to become millionaires? No, we're not. It felt very out of touch. It felt whatever. Okay, so anyway, I guess I made my point on that, and I'm just rambling. But rambling is what I do best. Rambling and ranting. No, so I did have a little bit of problem with the PewDiePie video, but I'm not, like, outright angry at him. Then the next video I watched was the Mundane Matt video on the subject. And I really liked Mundane Matt's stuff. I root for his success in life, you know. um, but what can I say? He did a good video on it. There wasn't a whole lot of emotion, wasn't as much emotion as in TJ Kirk's video. He went over it. I thought what he said was fair, and his attitude was, to give advice to YouTubers on, how to be more successful. That you might not be able to treat your YouTube channel as anything other than a business and be successful. If you want to, even make a small amount of money at it, if you even want a small amount of compensation, you might have to treat your business or your YouTube channel as a business. Which is fair enough. That's just his take on the whole thing, and he seemed to have a fair outlook on it, But it's a little bit disappointing, One of the things I like about YouTube is, well, there's videos on there that aren't for everybody. I started out treating my YouTube channel as almost like a Facebook photo album, except with videos on YouTube, and then I started to do other things. And I knew all along that if I wanted to talk about video games, I was best off creating a channel just for talking about video games and getting that audience there. If I just wanted to talk about compact cars, I'd be better off creating a separate channel for that and just talking about it there. But that wasn't really what I wanted to do. I want my channel to be my channel, my stuff, and different videos. I'd give different thumbnails, and you'd know what you were getting. I remember one person once put up a video of just herself driving around their local community on a bicycle that had a motor added to it, a motorized bicycle. And I thought it was a great little video. It gave you a sense of what it would feel like to ride one of those bicycles. Gave you a nice sense of the guy's community he lives in, visually speaking. When I looked at that, I noticed a lot of comments like, most boring video ever, and stuff like that. It's like, well, what are you complaining about? You knew what this was based on the description. There was nothing misleading about the thumbnail. You got what you were looking for when you clicked on it. You got what was described. You chose to watch it. What are you getting disappointed about, I like that YouTube can have like little slices of life mixed in with things. I like that it's a mix of things. I really like the you in YouTube. And I really think that if vid.me or vidme was still around, YouTube would be more worried about pulling moves like this that kind of piss off the smaller content creator. Because if the you leaves YouTube, they might put a little more me in the vidme, you know what I'm saying there, but vidme went out of business, so I think that's actually a factor in YouTube's decision making. Anyway, so I really liked the video done by TJ Kirk, and I liked the video that Mundane Matt did talking about this subject. The PewDiePie video brought up some good points, such as, on YouTube's part, a lot of their decision making is probably about the fact that there's so many hit pieces done on them, and regardless of how absurd the mainstream media attacks are on YouTube, he didn't word it this way, but we all know that the mainstream media is, really hates new media like YouTube. The media that allows the little people to just up and communicate, So YouTube is probably, YouTube has hired a whole bunch of people to review, the content that is getting ads on it. So, of course, that's probably one of the primary reasons why they bumped people out of the creator program. If you're making money off of your videos with ads, they're also making money off of your ads too, or the ads running on your videos. So that kind of could explain one of the reasons why they are doing this, because they're hiring so many people to review videos and whatever. That got brought up, that point of the crazy number of people being hired and the hard work it's going to be to review all these videos going up to YouTube. That is, that was brought up in the PewDiePie video. And while that is a good point, it also, it doesn't really change how YouTube is handling the situation, whether or not we all should be for this. And the fact that PewDiePie was so indifferent to this, to me felt out of touch. Anyway, but that said, while I wasn't overly impressed by PewDiePie's video, it did bring up some good points, or some points on what was going on. Even though I did very much disagree with sort of like the final conclusion that this is good for the YouTube community in the long run. It's basically like saying screw you to the first three letters in YouTube. Uh, you know, whatever. Anyway, yeah, not impressed with the PewDiePie video overall, but it did bring up, some good points that I already knew about by the time I had, watched the video. But after watching the Mundane Matt video, and as always, liking Mundane Matt's content, I thought he did a good job. Once again, I'm always in favor of watching Mundane Matt. Anyway, the next video I watched was Review Tech USA. I thought to myself, what will Rich of Review Tech USA have to say about this whole thing? And I immediately got a bad feeling that I wasn't going to like that. And I didn't. I thought what he said was arrogant. I thought he was a jackass. And in the end, I unsubscribed. And I don't think he's going to be, oh no, I lost a subscriber. No, it's not that. It's just like, you know what? I don't feel like supporting him anymore. And it's not a big deal for him to lose me as a subscriber, so I'm not going to say it's a big deal. I mean, although I am a firm believer in supporting your favorite content creators. And I never got into Patreon, though that's something I plan to look into. I never got too into Patreon because the whole thing about paying money up front, sort of, and I usually have so little money, and I'm not really, I don't know. It just wasn't something I did, even though I would be. I have thought about, if it was like a donation you could give at any time, I'd be more in favor of that, which was something that was possible on VidMe, but there's no more VidMe. But yeah, I think I'm going to look into Patreon more now that this is going on. But I always try to watch the ads on videos by content creators that I like and respect. And even if I like the content, I'm more likely to skip an ad on corporately produced content. But I try to focus on watching people like The Amazing Atheist, TJ Kirk, or Mundane Matt, or Review Tech USA, because they're like people running their own business. But I just up and unsubscribed from Review Tech USA because I actually found them kind of offensive. And it gets back to all the things I've said before, like the metaphor about you could compare this to somebody making crafts if they did it as a hobby in their spare time, being told they don't deserve to make money at it. The attitude that I got from Review Tech USA's video, I could compare it to any other metaphor that I've already made. Rich from Review Tech USA, he came off in his video, in my opinion, as somebody that had as much class as somebody who worked in a business that had kitchen staff, but he wasn't in the kitchen staff. He was in a higher position, going down to minimum wage kitchen staff and then yelling at them saying, "What do you deserve getting a tip jar for? What do you people that's disgusting that you're getting a tip jar. You don't deserve that. That's just a waste of time and money." It had all the class of that, which wasn't exactly what he was saying, but he was basically, to me, it came off as classy as somebody giving somebody else the middle finger for having a tip jar. And I just thought to myself, screw you. As far as I'm concerned, you can just go fuck yourself with a rusty iron rod. I was not at all impressed with what Rich from Review Tech USA said. I came off with him talking about the situation and how he had it hard early on and blah, 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 whatever. And be it Rich from Review Tech USA or PewDiePie's video or whatever, when people talk about having it hard early on, and in PewDiePie's case, he mentioned, about how it was hard to get monetized with, video game content. And anybody who knows about video game content in YouTube early on, if you reviewed video games and you were doing anything that involved the video game footage, it was a gray area. Even though we all know it was fair use, it became like this gray area. YouTube wasn't sure what to do with it. It was hard for people doing that sort of thing to get monetized. So anyway, where I'm getting with this is, those were all special problems. Yeah, it took quite a while for Rich from Review Tech stumbling over my words here. It took a while for Rich from Voltaic USA to get started and all this, but you know what? They did get started, they did become successful, and when you come off with this attitude like, I had it hard, so you all have it too easy, to me, that's the sign of a jackass, of a complete miserable scumfuck. Here's the thing. A decent person, here's the neutral standard. Here's my neutral standard. Somebody has a hard time, and their response to others is, I had a hard time. Hopefully you won't have a hard time, but I had a hard time at this. That, to me, is a neutral standard. To be an outright good person, upstanding, beneficial, benevolent being in this universe, the other attitude would be, I had a hard time with this. Hopefully you won't have as hard a time, and I'll help you not have as much a hard a time. It could be as simple as, just encouragement, or it could be outright doing something to help somebody. But, to me, it's a good standard. You're being a good person when you help others have not as hard a time as what you had. You use that experience to help others. A neutral standard is, you just don't root for somebody else to have a hard time. To me, you're a jealous, scumfuck jackass when you say, I had it hard, so you should have it at least as hard or harder. I have very little sympathy for that kind of attitude, and it outright disgusts me. So when I watched the Voltaic USA video, I unsubscribed. I thought to myself, screw that asshole. And there you go. That's my opinion on the subject. And as for me, I'm thinking about maybe I'll start uploading videos to Facebook, and I was thinking about uploading one anyway, just to help promote myself, because Facebook isn't big on promoting YouTube content. I was actually thinking about looking into Patreon, not only just supporting others on Patreon. I just never felt like I had enough content to justify a Patreon, and if I asked for money, I always wanted to ask for less than $1. Being a silly, perverted bastard, I kind of wanted to make my minimum payment to view my stuff to be 69 cents because I didn't want to ask for a whole dollar, and I thought that was just the perfect silly number to ask for, but whatever. I never felt comfortable with the idea of doing a Patreon. Not that I have anything against anybody else doing it. It was just that I just never felt like asking for money up front to view my stuff, But I'm actually thinking about that, because it does help to get compensated for your hobby. And like I said, it was a help. Previous money coming from YouTube actually did help me out, and there's times when I could use it, and it is kind of a motivation to make more videos and get involved in a community of video makers and watch other people's stuff, which is why it's a perfect thing for YouTube to allow people to be monetized and compensated for videos that they wish to share. And a photographer, somebody might snap up a really great picture, but they might be a part-time photographer, and you wouldn't say, those people over there making a lot of money off their pictures, you don't deserve to do that, even though you have this really great picture. You don't deserve the chance to ever do anything like that with your content. You don't say that. People. Yeah. So when this whole thing came off, where the bigger creators were like, yeah, let's sell out the small-time people, because I think this is a great thing. I just thought it was nonsense. And the idea that getting rid of small channels is going to help prevent ads from going on extremist content and get rid of the people just uploading other people's content to make a mockery out of their stuff and so forth. The idea that that's going to help, no, that stuff can still happen very easily. It's just less likely to be monetized. But the thing is, if you're a crazy jackass with horrible content and so forth, you can still get a lot of views. Hell, that's probably the sort of thing that'll bring in a lot of views if a lot of the more successful YouTubers that get themselves in trouble are any example. So, getting past the point where you get the views and the hours, that could still happen. It just literally just screws over the smaller content creators. To me, the best test of whether or not you're going to be probable on YouTube is the amount of time you've spent on YouTube that you haven't been a problem. It's like my channel's been around since 2011. I think I've kind of proved that I'm not going to be causing too much trouble here. But I'm not sure what else to say other than that, but this is not. This whole thing is not good. Demonetizing us small-time YouTubers is kind of like a middle finger to us, but it is something that YouTube could do that is less likely to annoy the louder, more well-known voices who have a wider reaching audience. So whatever, it is what it is. YouTube mostly, I think, wants to become a budget Netflix with corporate content, like clips from The Tonight Show and stuff like that, being approved of by the companies that make those bigger time stuff. I think they'd rather have Jimmy Kimmel and Stephen Colbert right now than anybody else, and I think that's probably where they figure the money is and the corporate support. So whatever. But anyway, feel free to subscribe to my channel. I don't normally ask that, but feel free to make YouTube acknowledge a smaller time channel and subscribe to my channel and watch some of my videos. And feel free to check out my content if you've enjoyed this video, wherever I end up posting it in the future. If I keep posting here, probably. And if I post other places, please feel free to check out my content. If you find it interesting, if you manage to get to this point, I thank you for listening to me. And, yeah. Hope to see you in future videos. Well, actually, I probably won't be seeing you if I'm the one making the video, but you'll be seeing me. If I'm in a video and I see you, that'd be a weird, futuristic, advanced technology that would allow for that. But anyway, hope to be talking to you again in other videos. And thanks for watching. And please feel free to subscribe and give me some watch hours, because whatever. Just make YouTube acknowledge me. If you want. It's your choice. You have the power. I'm just rambling. I should end this.